All right, everyone, welcome once again to the Family Beatdown Fantasy League update show. It's week 3. Want to get right at it. Let's talk about about the USC Notre Dame rivalry this past weekend. I know several of you watched it. I was texting with you during the games. It was great to have both of them on Saturday night. That's the one positive that I could say. I was able to flip back and forth between the two. But Notre Dame, boy, you guys really showed them. You put it on Michigan State that was beating a ranked team. You move up in the rankings yourself. You're now ranked higher than USC on the AP poll, number 11 for Notre Dame and number 13 for USC. You guys take on Michigan this week, another ranked team. Michigan is in the top 20. They are number 18 in the AP poll. On the USC side of things, 4 years running, 5 out of the last 6, Stanford beats USC. That's a number 21 at the time, Stanford, knocking off a number 2. And boy, what can I tell you? They just really worked. Matt Barkley was a good defensive effort and a competent offensive effort on the Stanford side. Stanford moves up to number 11, 3-0, and they got the inside track there. Pac-12 title, one of the strongest teams in the Pac-12. It's looking like. So, at any rate, it's hard to imagine talk of a national title game or a Heisman Trophy coming to the USC campus this year. But keeping my hopes alive. We'll continue to update, but I don't think it's likely. I don't think a one loss to a then unranked team or a 21 ranked team is going to get you into the BCS title game. I don't think Matt Barkley is going to win the Heisman unless he really seriously picks it up. So at any rate, let's look at our league from last week. So just as I opened up the league going 6-0, I practically turned the page or flipped the coin as it were. This week I go 1-5. Missed most of the games, including my own. I now stand 7-5 on my picks for the year. Speaking of my own, what a miserable day it was for Smell This. Robert Griffin III had a decent game at 44.8, but Antonio Gates was out. Justin Blackman was out. I need to start paying attention to the injury report. Chris Johnson is off to a horrible start, 2.8 points. I only got 93 points. Rednecks got into the win column, and I said last week Rednecks were traditionally a strong team. And you look at our top 4 players: Newton, Mike Wallace, Dwayne Bowe, Reggie Bush, 27, 13, 36, 42, 11 from Garrett Hartley. Dawn puts up 166 points as she takes the win, pulling away by more than 33 points. Mud Dogs continues his championship defense, moving to 2-0 on top of Mighty Mullets. Mullets off to an 0-2 start. Mud Dogs led by Breeze with 45, but the real production came from Trent Richardson, 31.5. Miles Austin, Reggie Wayne, Matt Bryan, Chicago defense all went double figures for Rick. On the Mullet side, needing to find an answer, Michael Vick, 51. That's good. Ray Rice, 15. D'Angelo Williams, 12.9. But then 1.7 from Des Bryant, 1.5 from Fred Davis. Mighty Mullets yet to put it together for a win. They dropped to 0-2. Gerard Invincibles needed a prolific game out of his kicker on Sunday night, out of Jason Hansen, the Detroit kicker, and thank God Detroit had him. They ended up losing 27-19 against San Francisco, who I think is going to be in the NFC title game again this year, in my humble opinion. Invincibles improved to 1-1. Aaron Rodgers, 25.3, a tough day against the Bears defense, but Grandpa got Brent Selleck at 20.7. That's out of a tight end, ladies and gentlemen. Percy Harvin is 16.7. Jason Hansen, the aforementioned Jason Hansen, 16 points. Looking over at Bears 6, this is Michael's team. Michael drops to 1-1. 29 out of Tony Romo, but 34 out of C.J. Spiller. That is a huge pickup. He's just going hog wild with Fred Jackson on the bench. So Michael drops to 1-1. Grandpa moves on to 1-1. Blue and Gold, 140 over Danny Menser. Blood, Sweat, and Beer. Danny with her first fantasy loss. But Jake, 24 out of Peyton. Peyton had a rough night last night against the Falcons. But 30.9 out of Hakeem Nicks, who went apeshit and for the New York Giants, thanks to Eli's huge-ass performance. Jake totaled 140. On the Blood, Sweat, and Beer side, 28 for Stafford. Tough day for Detroit all the way around. Frank Gore, 16.5. Malcolm Floyd 50.9, Mason Crosby 14. Looking at Decepticons, who continues to march. Decepticons are now 2-0, sitting in the top of the division. Mama of Fort Boldens also slides to 0-2. Decepticons led by Tom Brady 40.5, Marshawn Lynch, the Animal 23.2. Ben Jarvis, Green Ellis, and Tony Gonzalez also double figures. Negative points for No Sean Marino on Veronica's team, but 45 for Phil Rivers. Goose egg for Stephen Hill, a New York Jet. That'll teach you, boy. You can go from a goose egg to a Giant and a goose egg to a Jet. Abandon all hope for those New York teams. Give them up. It's never going to happen. At any rate, Jed takes this one by, what's that point spread? By a nice 30-point margin. And show me them TDs. After getting off to a win last week, her second fantasy game, she puts up her first loss. Eli Manning went 67.8 for Rebecca. I got Eli in my other league, and I got similar stats out of him. But she got 0 points out of Pierre Garçon and 0 points out of Aaron Hernandez. Hernandez is hurt. He went limping off. You need to make an adjustment there. Don't keep tight ends on your bench. They're a dime a dozen. Get rid of them. 29.4 from Willis McGahee. A great start there. Matt Ryan, 35.8 for B-Hole. 25 for Danny Amendola. And 25 for Arian Foster. 145 to 135. Alex takes it and improves to 1-1. Rebecca slips down to 1-1. So let's take a look at the league. Taking a look at standings right now. It's still a little too early to tell, but Mud Dogs and Decepticons are tied for the lead in the Cardinal Division at 2-0. That seems to be the class of our league, because down in the Gold Division, Beho Records and Show Me Them TDs are sitting atop that division at 1-1. Remember, the top 6 finishers go into the playoffs. So you're going to win the division. You're going to get in one of two ways. You're going to win the division, or you're going to be one of the top 6 finishers. That's the way you're going to get into the playoffs. Still, we got plenty of football left. Taking a look at week number 3. The other thing I'll tell you, Thursday night game this week pits those Super Bowl champion New Jersey Giants against the Carolina Panthers. Should be an easy game for the Giants. The Panthers are horrible this year, but leave it up to you. Make sure you get your lineup set. All right, looking at next week. Smell this. We'll visit Bears 6. Bears 6 fresh off the win. Looking on paper, it's a 143-113 in favor of Smell This. RG3 against Cincinnati. Calvin Johnson against Tennessee. I think Detroit's got a lot of pent-up frustration. Chris Johnson, on the other hand, needs to run against that same Detroit Lions team. Again, that should be a good game. I'm going to have to make a move on Antonio Gates, Justin Blackmon, and Julio Jones. Those guys all be looking for new homes right quick here. Bears 6, Tony Romo down in Tampa Bay. That's a tough defense, but he's projected for 41. I don't think he gets it. CJ Spiller is going to be against Cleveland. CJ may get 100 points and make up for Tony Romo. I still, because I'm just that confident, I'm going to give the pick to Smell This. Mama of Fort Boldness takes on Mighty Mullets. Mullets looking for their first win. Both teams looking for their first win. For Veronica, Phillip Rivers against Atlanta. But it's home. Maybe it helps. Stephen Hill, you need to get rid of him. No Sean Marino. You might want to check injury status. But she's got a slight advantage, 112 to 108 over Mighty Mullets. Mullets has Vic against Arizona. Should be a good day for him. Des Bryant against Tampa Bay. Not a good matchup. And Ray Rice up in New England, or down in Baltimore, but hosting New England. Not a great matchup. I think, though, that Tyson's going to cover it, and I'm going to give my pick to Tyson James Bolden. Looking at the Girard Invincibles versus Show Me Them TDs. That's Grandpa versus Rebecca. 2 1-1 teams squaring up. Grandpa's got Aaron Rodgers against Seattle. Brandon Marshall against St. Louis. Brandon Lloyd against Baltimore. And Sean Green against Miami. All of those are good lineups, or good matchups, I should say, in favor of the offensive team. Eli's got Carolina. They should destroy Carolina. Pierre Garçon, you might want to check on him. And Aaron Hernandez, as I mentioned, you're going to want to get rid of him. I'm going to assume that even though Rebecca is going to cover, she's not going to cover by enough. I'm going to give the pick to Grandpa. Looking at Rednecks versus the Beho Wreckers. This is Dawn versus Alex. 1-1 teams. Cam Newton for Rednecks against the New York Giants. Should be a tough matchup. Mike Wallace against Oakland. That should be a cakewalk. Reggie Bush against the New York Jets. That's a tough matchup. It's an elite game, and the Jets are pretty good defensively. B-Hole Wreckers, Matt Ryan against San Diego. Should be all right. Darian Foster against Denver. In Denver, I don't know. You look at this as virtually a toss-up, 129-132 in favor of Alex. That said, I'm feeling my chippish. I'm going to go with the underdog. I'm going to give it to the Rednecks. And in our game of the week, Decepticons, Jed versus Blood, Sweat, and Beer, Danny. This is a 2-0 team facing a 1-1 team. We're not even going to talk about it because what I'm going to do is I'm going to start putting a pox on you undefeated teams. So Decepticons are going to lose. It's a pretty tight game as it looks right now, 136-131. But I think Decepticons are going to lose. Blood, Sweat, and Tears improves to 2-1. Decepticons fall to 2-1. So that's my picks. As I said, Thursday night game has New York Giants versus the Carolina Panthers. Get your picks set, get your lineup set. Hope everyone has a great week. So long, everybody.